Back with the Artie Lange Show. Artie is ill tonight, but we've got Carlos Mencia here and Casey Stern. These guys were spouting some profundities there during the break. For real. I mean, this was enlightening for me.
That was a good conversation.
It was, but what I was saying was
man.
about people that are great. Look, America wants people to be great, but they want them to show humility. And some people, very few, can be Bill Russell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And contain it.
Jeter.
You know what I mean? Very
Yeah.
few can contain
I
it.
think Jeter's a good example.
Tom Brady.
Yeah. But when have you seen Jeter when he goes out?
I have seen Jeter when he goes out, and I've met him as a member of the media.
Right. When you see him as a person out there at a club, let me put it to you this way. Even if I didn't know who he was, I'd be like, that dude's somebody.
But he knows how to say the right things, and that's unfortunately part of it.
But on the inside, you have to believe that you're better in order to be better. You have to have that attitude, or you won't be. If you don't truly have that drive to be the greatest ever, you will never be the greatest.
But isn't that in every business? I mean, that's for you. That's for you.
Yeah.
That's for everybody here. It's for me. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's all of us,
And
right?
that's why most great people had a period of time where they learned to not be so arrogant and cocky. Where,
There's a period
we
of
got beat
adjustment,
up.
without a doubt.
There's always a period of adjustment.
When everyone's telling you that you're great. When you know that you're pretty good. And then all of a sudden everyone's telling you that you're great.
Right.
And then they're reinforcing that by paying you a whole lot.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's hard to keep your head on straight.
But sometimes
it's very hard.
But here's the thing: sometimes athletes, at least in sports, and I'm sure comedy, acting's all the same.
It's all the same.
If you go through a humbling experience, sometimes I know for me, and I think for Puig too, I think sometimes you go through a humbling experience and then you learn from it.
Sure, something will happen to him.
He hasn't had that yet.
Yeah.
No.
But if he makes the mistake, like we were talking about some of the overthrows and some of the things, he's a phenomenal player. And he realizes, I let my team down. That may be the moment, because I think he'll care about his teammates, I think.
But will he? I mean,
Well, I mean...
Yeah, what's your take on that?
Michael Jordan didn't have the best shooting percentage. He just took more shots.
Yeah.
And he happened to be the guy
he was pretty
wanted
good.
that shot. No. He's amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if you want to call him the greatest player of all time, but you look at his percentage stats, they're not that much better. It's not like they're astronomically better than Bill Russell's. Bill Russell's was better. Well, he's an inside player, but it's different. My point is that he just wanted to take the shot more. He was that guy. He's the give me the ball at the end of the game guy. He's that guy. I mean,
but
look
how
at his
about
speech.
Paxson? How about
He's still
Steve
a
Kerr?
douche. Look at his speech.
I understand that. I agree with you. But
You know
how?
what I mean? He's still like, I'm the best. And I wish. It's like, dude, you settle down, bro. It's over. You're not gonna play anymore. You're never gonna play LeBron James. He'll get over it. And there's still that attitude. And those guys that don't have that attitude sometimes end up like we were talking earlier, like Jeff George, a guy with unbelievably ridiculous talent, who instead of inspiring it and creating something better from it, ended up just being a guy that a lot of people don't know who he is.
Something I've found.
We'll never remember his name.
But he was a physical marvel.
Ridiculous. Right. But here's the thing. We will respect people and listen to people who we respect. As kids, our parents, right? When you're a young player in college and in the pros, somebody who's been there and done that and succeeded, but also somebody that you look up to. To an American player, to somebody who's grown up watching this sport here, a Yankee fan, Don Mattingly is Don Mattingly.
Right.
I will listen to anything Don Mattingly. It's Donnie Baseball.
Of course.
If I grew up watching him in the '80s, then my God, he'd go ahead preach to me.
Right.
That's not going to be the case for Puig.
Right.
Which is why I was saying to you that I think the big brother. I remember covering the Mets when Jose Reyes came up and Julio Franco was on the team.
Right.
And literally he hit 180. He was like 80 years old. He was a great guy. I mean, he played till he was like 96.
He did.
But his job was to be Jose Reyes' dad.
And that's as old as Carter.
I mean, he was just ridiculously old.
Yes.
But he was like Jose's father.
Right.
And that was his job. I think Adrian Gonzalez needs to be, and I don't think he's that kind of a guy. Like, we don't know Adrian to be that guy.
I don't know.
But it's unfortunate. But I think Puig needs somebody like that. Somebody like that.
It's better. Look, I do, personally, I do like the demeanor. Look, I'm a Kobe fan, but do I wish Kobe had more of a Bill Russell demeanor? You know what I mean? More internalizing that instead of being so outwardly competitive and sometimes, to the point of possibly winning 1 to 3 more titles, you know, that's a cost that happens. But that's who he has to be in his mind to be as great as he is. So that you know, that's how they go. But the same for Shaq, you know. He didn't have to go that ego route as well. I mean, you know, these guys had a dynasty that they literally let their ego let go because they thought that much of themselves. They thought they were bigger than the game. And what they don't understand is you're only good for the period of time that you play, and then you get just shuffled, you know, and that's the way it is for everybody. I mean, I was blown away. I was having a conversation with somebody about comedy, and we were talking about the greats, and my friend says, you know, nobody cares. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, watch this. And there were 3 kids that were 16, 17, and 21. And he goes, you know who Richard Pryor is?
Yeah.
And they all were like, who's that?
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so this, you know, like, it doesn't matter. You're a footnote regardless. So just be great while you can and leave it alone and hope that you do your best and it's going to be forgotten. Nobody cares. In baseball, you try, but that's why I'm saying, load them up with roids. Let me see him.
Oh my God!
I think I'd like to watch it a little more.
102. Listen,
I'd
wouldn't you
enjoy
like
that.
to see a guy that pitches 105 mile an hour
Yes,
fastball
Aroldis Chapman
going up against a roided guy? I mean, I want to see who wins that
You know,
battle.
the home run derby in 1998.
Tell me that
Sosa and McGuire.
wasn't it awesome?
It was the greatest season
And by the way,
of
we
my
all
life
knew that
I've
they
ever
were
watched.
I agree with that.
And we enjoyed it.
I agree with that.
We enjoyed that.
I agree with that part.
And that's what I'm saying. So let's enjoy it more.
I think the point
Let's
you make
start
is equal ground. That's
who do we
the
talk
point
to?
you
The
make.
Because at the end
Senators?
of-
Where do we
right.
start this?
Well, because at the end of the day, it's
movement.
We're not getting hurt. I mean, we're just getting better entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Grassroots. We need to, I don't know, get signing petitions.
Better,
for this.
stronger, faster.
Do drugs.
What's
Yes.
going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
Enhance yourself.
Listen, what's going to happen? Are we going to let when robotics comes into play? At certain point,
What do you mean robotics?
like a certain point, somebody, well, they already have it.
Cyborg
But, right. Somebody is
player.
going to
RoboCop
not
is
have a
playing
hand.
third
No,
base?
But no, somebody's going to lose a hand. Right?
Okay.
Or like the
Jim
pitcher for
Abbott?
the Angels, Abbott.
Right. I was at his no-hitter in New York.
In 50, 100 years, or less than that,
Right.
he will be able to have a Luke Skywalker hand.
Star Wars guy right here.
Yeah, well, we both
last
are,
scene in
man.
Empire Strikes Back.
He will have the Luke and his father hand. And here's the thing.
Well,
are they going to let him play?
Anakin also. I mean,
That's
they're
right.
both
they
missing.
both missing.
Yeah.
Right. So what are they going to do? They're going to let him play, or they're not going to let him play? And because that's a question. We're gonna have baseball's gonna have to ponder at some point.
Will there be limitations to the
Correct.
cyborg robotics?
Right.
They can only be synaptically, fused.
I'm pretty sure we could be
process
going outside
information
the realm of possibility here.
No,
it's possible.
No, what do you mean? It already happened. They're already prosthetics that move.
and the way
through your
technology is
brain. It already
advancing
happened.
exponentially now.
Correct.
It's
but
gonna
in a few years,
yeah,
it will
sure.
be like a
10
regular
years,
hand.
10 years.
Except you will be able to make that hand much more powerful than a human hand.
Like
Yes.
in that movie, Henry Rowan Gardner,
or
and
an
what was that?
arm or
Like Rookie
whatever.
of the Year?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's going to happen? Is baseball going to let
do that to my brain.
What's that? The runner Pistorius that shot
Oh
his
yeah,
girlfriend.
Pistorius.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
So are they going to let
Right.
him run or not? See, it's and to me, it's like
That's
at the end of the day, you know what? Let them all play.
Yeah.
Let them all play. Let them all
Yeah.
do it. Because if one guy can have a robot arm that's way stronger, you can't let him pitch with it. And if you do, then you got to give an exoskeleton to the other guy so he can hit it. Now we're talking about.
I really like
You
where
know
this
what?
is
You're
going.
right. We don't need steroids. Robotics in baseball. That is the answer.
A fantasy league with only guys with one arm. Yeah.
And it'll be like Elysium, you know what I mean, with the Matt
Yeah.
Damon body.
I saw
suit
that
and
movie. Did you see
That's
that?
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
so
saw
you
that
got the
movie.
suit, and
I'm
now
a
they're
fan
all
of that
strong and super strong. So
Matt
I don't
Damon.
know.
I heard that movie wasn't that great.
It was not that great. Not
you
as bad
see-
as this, by the way.
Did you see District
But
9?
I did. I liked District 9.
loved it. Did you see District
I
9?
did.
I saw District 9, but the whole time I was like, are they talking about me? The whole time I was like, are those aliens supposed to in some way represent East LA and the slums that we created? Like,
You're
I can't.
reading in a little too much.
Well,
yeah.
sometimes it happens. But listen, when I started doing stand-up, right, in the mid-'80s, every movie about the future didn't have any Latinos in it. So I remember, like, I literally did a
over
joke
for us.
But I would be like, what happens to us in the future? Star Trek, no Latinos. Star Wars, no Latinos. Alien, no Latinos. They made a movie called Green Card with a Gerard Depardieu.
Yeah.
Like when you think Green
French
Card,
guy.
you think some French dude? Really? Like, come on, you know. And then in Star
That's
Wars,
brilliant.
the one guy with a Mexican name, Chewie, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Was
right.
brown.
Yeah.
And the mechanic, I'm like, what? What is this? But though it was funny, my point is that was also like a reality for me, and it was also like, wow, I would read into that stuff because what people don't understand is like even it wasn't much less than 5 years ago that I heard from a network, we're sorry, but we already have our Latino show. It's not that long ago because they already had one, so they don't need another one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not cool. You would never say that to a white guy. We already have our white show. But that's not what I want to base my comedy on. I'd rather try to change things by not talking about that stuff, by making fun of it, other than, getting on some pulpit. They're racist and they didn't want to give me a show. And, you know, whatever, because they can always fire back. What about Telemundo and Univision? Well, I don't listen to Spanish. I don't know what you're talking about. This is for my mom, all right?
Well, tell us about your special that you got coming up.
You know what? I'm going around the country. Look, there's two ways to do a special. One of them is go to the Comedy Cellar, do, 10 to 15 minute spots every day and start building a 1 hour set. Me personally, I want to be funny to everybody. So I'm here this week. Then like last week I was in Seattle. The week before I was in Denver. The week before I was in San Diego. So I want my material to really be able to say it played everywhere. Let me put it to you this way: if I don't perform in Birmingham, Alabama, I will not shoot a special. Like I have to run it through that filter.
Wow.
Well, because I just don't want to be that guy. I don't want to come up here and be like, oh, rednecks, blah, 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 and then go down there and be like, oh, those Yankees, blah, 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 and then I just, don't get me wrong, I'll speak Spanish if there's a lot of people that speak Spanish or whatnot. I mean, I'll cater in that way, but I just don't want to go to that place of like placating people. I think it's done way too much anyway. I mean, up until a certain point, I get it. My son's 6, he got a trophy for participation.
Yeah,
I made him understand that it was for participation. Mm-hmm. But when he did a competition, I told him, you don't have the demeanor for karate. That's not who you are. But if you want to do it, go ahead. I back you 100%. But just don't feel bad when you lose. I love you no matter what. Mm-hmm. But you're not aggressive like that. That's just not who you are. And he was like, yeah, I am. And then of course he wasn't, and he got beat up really bad. The pads were cool, but poor kid, man. I mean, he's got heart. But this other kid was like, bah, 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 and my son was just like,
At 6?
wait a minute. Well, here's what it is. My son he's a math guy.
Okay.
So he was told that if you punch, you get 2 points, and if you kick, you get 1 point. But you don't have to punch hard. You just have to connect.
Okay.
So he
win
was
by scoring. Win
he
by
was
points.
just
Right.
connecting. Right?
It's connecting.
He was just like, and in his head he's like 1, 2, just like not hard, but connecting.
Right.
This other little Mexican kid was beating the hell out of my son, and he's just kicking him and go ha ha, and my son looked at me like it's only 1 point. Why is he hitting me so hard? And he's like, look, Dad, two. And I mean, he ended up. I think he won on points or something. But I told him, I was like, look, you gotta understand, it's not your. Yeah. I mean, thank God he looked like a Michelin man, the poor kid. I don't even know how they fight in the first place. But my 10-year-old nephew comes in. He's, look at my trophy. And I was like, does it say you suck on the trophy? Your team lost every game. How did you get a trophy? And then people will get mad at me and say, well, don't you get it? It's like, but no, at a certain point, we're supposed to prepare our kids for the day that they don't get the job.
Yeah.
For the day when they're not the best applicant for that position.
Well, if you're doing that, you're the only one who's
from the
prepping
team.
them for that, because
But bro, we have the highest suicide rate in America.
no longer doing that.
Yeah, but who's paying the price?
I know.
Our
You're
kids.
right, dude. I have three kids,
Right?
and we get all the
I mean, think about it.
participation trophies,
Yeah.
and drives me insane.
Well, listen, when a gay kid jumps off the bridge, because he feels like it's so bad to be gay, because you got to prepare. Look, you're gay. They're gonna make fun of you. That's just the way it is. I get that there shouldn't be bullying. I get that, but there's gonna be. I told my son, listen, if somebody says something to you, you don't have to say anything back. But if you do, that's fine. But if somebody punches you, punch them back.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, in school, you're not supposed to. I said, I don't care. If somebody gets physical with you, get physical with
stand
them.
up for yourself.
And if they kick you out of school, I told him, Daddy has money. We'll go to another school. I'm serious. I really told him that. But
I said the same thing.
But that's
punch him in the
could.
nose. The nose will stop.
Exactly. And it's not that we're evil people. It's that there are bad people out there. There are bad people that are not nice.
We're doing too good a job of parenting at times. We're insulating them so much.
Well, that's
because
a bad
we love
job.
them. We love them. So
But I think that's a difference. That's a disconnect between like me and my friends. I'm like my parents. I don't live for my son. I love him very much, but I don't live for him. I don't go to all his soccer matches. I don't go to all his practices. There are times when he's like, are you going to go and see me play? I'm like, why do you play baseball? Because I like it. Then go play because you like it. Don't go play it for me.
Right.
I don't want, in the movies, it's beautiful when he goes up there and
the
his
parents
father,
are crying. Yeah.
And the parents are crying and he looks up and they're there and then he hits a home run.
Waiting in the end zone with their arms open.
Yeah. I don't want that scene. If my son's a baseball player and they're like,
Call me on the
look up,
phone.
he's like, he's probably not even here. My dad's a douche. He doesn't show up to anything. And then he hits it. Like, I just want them to be self-sufficient and to deal with life. I mean, look, we're Americans. We have rich people problems, and we act like we don't. That's why people in other countries don't like us. It's not that they don't like America. They love America. But they hate that we complain about, like when Superstorm Sandy was hitting here, I think the storm that killed like 12 people total. Yeah. Did you know that a tsunami was hitting the coast of India and killed over 100,000 people? Right. So you can imagine how they feel when they turn on the TV and we're crying going, there's water in my basement? And they're like, what?
Right, exactly.
Right, they're like, is this guy serious? There's water in his basement? Ooh, all of the women are dead. Dogs floating all over the ocean. But look, there is water in his basement. It's like... We got it. Last year in America, we spent $8 billion in the lap band surgery, right? That's a surgery.
That is scary.
$8 billion. Now think about that. There's people in Africa going, what are we going to eat today? Yeah. If we don't eat, we're going to die. And in America, we're like, I can't stop eating. Is there any way?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Is there any way we can trick my
How do we stop?
Could you imagine going to like a third world country and telling them that we have all you can eat shrimp at the Red Lobster? Mm-hmm. That's all you can eat. Or that we, they'd freak out. Right. And that's why guys like Puig have that attitude.
Well, they think we're spoiled as hell.
But we are.
Yeah, we are.
But we are. Like, we're mad at him because he didn't answer the question the way we wanted it to. Right. So, he does, like, people in other countries don't get that. Like, my friend said to me, I'm poor. I'm like, dude, no, you're not. But people in poor countries don't get a check on the 1st and the 15th. They don't live in government housing. They don't listen. I know what poor is. I used to eat dirt when I was a kid because we didn't have any meat, and there was no iron in my diet. So literally when I came to America, my mom took me to a doctor and said, there's something wrong with him. He might be mentally retarded. And the doctor's like, why? He eats dirt. And the doctor literally slapped my mom and said, feed this kid some meat.
Right, mistake.
I said, but this was back in the day because they were smoking. Yeah, and the doctors were like, what kind of a parent are you? This is back in the day. But I mean, we live in a society today where everybody wants to blame everybody else for their ills. I mean, half the country is mad because Bush didn't get him a job, and now the other half is mad because Obama didn't get him a job. And who told these people that you get everything you want out of life?
Why are you entitled to
everybody gets
automatic success?
So somebody just has to, change that attitude. My son the other day was like, Dad, I know how to do an iPhone. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, what do you know how to do? And I pulled out an Etch-a-Sketch and I said, you better draw me a perfect circle because I can, and if you can't, I'm going to smack you in the face.
Etch-a-Sketch.
Well,
that's
but
tough. That's
my point is that you gotta listen. It's about being creative. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example of creativity. It was March 19th, 1976 in East Los Angeles, Hamel Street School. I was 10 years old in the 4th grade in Miss Tanaka's class. Long story short, they sent the sheriff to explain to us that when our parents hit us in this country, it's illegal. and they gave us a card and told us to dial that number if our parents ever hit us. And I was the kid that was always falling because I'm 17th born.
Yeah.
So my mom, you know, she tried to stab me one time and she missed, but she got me right there.
She kind of had it at that point.
Yeah, she got me right there.
Yeah.
She put a scar on my back like that big. I'll show it to you in a second. But anyway, I came home and my mom says, "What did you learn in school today?" And I said, I learned that you're a felon, that you're breaking the law. And if you ever hit me again, I'm going to call the police on you. And my mom, she flipped it on me. I thought she was going to get mad. I just wanted to get it out. I knew she was going to hit me. It didn't matter. I didn't care. I just wanted to say it. But my mom was like, wow, you know, your brothers and sisters, they heard the same story, but they didn't say anything to me. I'm proud of you. You took the knowledge and you applied it to try to make your life better. We're going to buy you some shoes today. And so we would normally go shopping for shoes in Mexico, in Tijuana, Mexico, which is 2 hours from LA. So we got in my dad's blue Comet. We drove to Mexico. Normally we would drive in. This is where it got a little weird. We didn't drive. We stopped and walked over this bridge. And halfway over the bridge, literally, there's a painted line. Like somebody just painted a line. And that's the international border. I had no idea. I was so happy to go buy some shoes. Dude, as soon as we crossed the border, she pounded me so hard. And the whole time she was yelling, "Nobody cares about you in Mexico." I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like,
that is great.
And so from that point, like, she found a way, you know, to make me more afraid of her than of anything in my environment.
That's
like,
great.
Literally, when gangbangers would be like, "You need to join a gang," I'd be like, "Why don't you ask my mom?" And if she says yes, I'll join the gang. And then they would be like, "Your mom? Oh, that's the crazy bitch with a machete. Is that your mom?" Because my mom would pull machetes on gangbangers who wanted to date my sisters.
Oh, well.
So, like, you know,
it's effective, I guess, right?
Now, I'm not saying that you got to pull a machete and take your kid to Canada and beat him. That's not what I'm saying. But, like, be creative. You know what I mean? Like, no,
I
like with
that.
my
Yeah.
Listen up, parents.
I agree. No, for real.
But what I do is I take away what he loves the most. Like, on any given day, he's either playing on the 3DS or, you know, on his iPad. Or,
I do the same thing. No, give it to me.
Whatever it is.
You're done.
You know, you got to do this or that. No, I want to. All right, fine. Give me this. Give me this. You can't have that.
I'm with you. I'm with you. We gotta go though.
Don't
We gotta
care.
bust it.
Let's go.
Carlos, great having you though,
Appreciate
man.
it, brother.
And you're gonna be your tour date's coming up. You Governors in Levittown, New York.
This weekend, Governors. But if you're anywhere in the country, just go to carlosmencia.com, or it's Carlos Mencia for everything, for Facebook, Twitter, you know, carlosmencia.com, whatever. So go check it out. Schedules everywhere.
Awesome. Well, thanks so
Trying
much.
to change America 2 people at a time.
Yeah. Hey, well, I think you did. You've
You got
changed,
2 of us.
You've changed me.
Yeah, you got the 2 of us.
A transformation
I've
is
changed
taking
myself
place
because
within.
I do not. I now have realized that I do not want steroids, but I do want robotics.
Me too. Me too.
I'm glad we
You
made this
made a
change
believer
for you.
out of me as
I
well.
want robotics in baseball.
And Casey Stern from MLB Network Radio and NFL,
Radio, yes.
Radio
Yes.
now.
Prediction.
Thank you so much.
Prediction before we go. Who do you think's gonna win?
Dodgers, Tigers.
Dodgers, Tigers.
Yeah, I'm going scratch. Dodgers, Tigers.
And who do you think will take it from those two?
I think Detroit's going to win the World Series.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
If they're playing exactly the way they're playing right now, the Dodgers will win. But we'll see.
I think Kershaw is the best pitcher on the planet, but I think the Tigers have gone one step. The next step, there's only one left, and I think Miggy has his story this year.
Well, this is how much I love America. I love my Dodgers. Love my Dodgers, and will never betray them. But if they lose to Detroit with all the things that have happened,
I think that's going to be the story.
You deserve it. guys.
They do deserve it.
Yep.
They do deserve it. But thanks, both of you guys.
Appreciate it.
So much. Thank you, Kate, sitting in for.
Hey, hanging out with
doing?
you, listening to your soccer stories about how you
wonderful.
cry over women
Yeah, just
who use
forget
their
about
left feet.
that.
It's cool.
We're gonna
We got to talk about that next time. I'm a huge soccer fan.
Really?
Yeah. Football.
I was too, man.
Football.
I
Don't
played
open this
soccer.
can.
I
Me
played
too.
soccer from, that was my first sport, and I
Right.
played it till I went off to school and
Right.
got the hell beat out of me.
Right.
Speaking of, fantasy football is back, and DraftKings.com is celebrating with millions in cash prizes. DraftKings, it's one-day fantasy sports. One-day games mean you're never locked into a season. It's like a new season every time you play. DraftKings brings instant gratification to fantasy sports. You pick your team in minutes, and you could instantly be getting your share of the $1 million they're awarding kickoff week. Yes, week 1 this football season, $1 million is up for grabs. DraftKings is where anyone can enter with a couple bucks and win big cash prizes. True story. One guy won $100,000 his first time. $100,000 day one. Celebrate with DraftKings and their $1 million kickoff bash. Play for free. That's free. To win real cash at DraftKings.com. Enter ARTIE, Artie, with your first pay game and get free entry into the $1 million kickoff bash. Seriously, free entry that could win you thousands just playing fantasy football. Use ARTIE, Artie, at DraftKings.com. 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 The Artie Lange Show returns right after this.